Hi YouTube, it's Calandra. Tonight I'm coming at you with a vlog about parenthood and tantrums and toddlers. Hopefully this is something you'll find interesting. I say thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to my Facebook family for their suggestions and for viewing. And I hope that this is helpful to you. As I've said before, I'm not an expert. I'm just a mother and just here to share with you some things that I found. So, what I'm going to talk about today with tantrums are actually, I saw a nice article online on the parents.com website, and I'll have the link. I think I have a link to the actual article, but it's on www.parents.com, and it's a story about tantrums. And now, our children, as I've said before 50 million times, are 3.5 and 22 months. Our son didn't really start with any kind of tantrum situation. He had his moments, but nothing like, oh my God, I got to get him out of the store, or he's, falling out on the floor. That really only happened a couple of times last summer at a conference. And as my mother always told me, if they fall out on the floor, let them stay there. And that's exactly what I did. And I walked a few steps away, and eventually he got up and realized that mommy was not playing. So I think it was more so just the situation we were in. But most tantrums, from what I've always read, are actually the result of boredom, or maybe you have them out when it's time for their nap. So from what I've always heard is that you need to kind of fend off the tantrums, know what triggers them. So a lot of times I've heard it said, if you know that your child's nap, and if I'm not mistaken, tantrums can be anywhere from 18 months up to 4 or 5 years of age. So if you know that their nap is at 3 o'clock, don't go grocery shopping at 2:15 or 2:55 rather, when you know that they're going to get cranky in a minute. So the biggest way of dealing with tantrums is to avoid them in the first place. And from what I've read, I think 90% of tantrums can be avoided. But these are some nice tips that I thought were great, so I'm not going to share all of them with you because you can go on the website, parents.com, and find these same tips. But I just wanted to share a few with you. Please feel free to rate and comment. Send us a video response if maybe there's something that you've dealt with, or if you have another tip of how you dealt with your child's tantrums. So they're talking about a situation where you're in the store, or in the restaurant with your child, and just to avoid them getting antsy, once they start the tantrum, it's pretty much a wrap. You just kind of have to ride it out and deal with it. So that's why the biggest way of dealing with a tantrum is to avoid it in the first place. So there were some interesting tips of things that you could do when you're in a situation where you know your children are waiting, where they can become impatient or cranky. These are some of the things that you could do with them to avoid turning it into a meltdown situation. If you're in a waiting room, grab a few magazines and ask your child or children who can find the picture of a flower. So play treasure hunt and see how quickly they could find pictures. These are things that are going to keep them occupied. Get silly. We do this often. Tickle monster, finger monster. You run your fingers along your child's arm or something like that. Actually, that's a great diversion technique that we use sometimes when the children are getting a little annoyed, even at home. We kind of try to distract them by making them laugh. Don't show and tell. Have your child close his or her eyes. Take something out of your purse and put it in his hand and see if he can guess what it is. I like that one. There's another one where you draw on your child's back, draw a simple picture or letters or numbers and see if they can guess what it is. Try to, if you're at a restaurant, make sure that you've got the crayons. I know our challenge with the crayons was they always ended up on the floor. But something that I used to do, those, once they put the pack of crayons out, those are your crayons. So what I used to do when when our children were really too small to play with the crayons, and they would give them to us, we would let them play with it in the packet. But then we would take them home, and then I would just keep them in my purse so that every time, I mean, we had our own crayons, but I'm just saying, It's something to do because they would tell me, you keep the crayons. So I had all these crayons laying around the house. So for diaper bags, for my purse, I would always put those little packs of maybe 2 to 4 crayons, and I would always leave it in my bag so we would have it whenever we went out. So that was always kind of nice. Play I Spy. I mean, what's more old school than I Spy? Play with the food. They say bring Cheerios for your baby or toddler to a restaurant. That's a little iffy because half of our Cheerios would end up on the floor. This was an interesting one. I think this might be for somewhat older children, but if you take out a dollar bill and have your child guess how many times the word one appears on each side, how many times the number 1 appears on each side, and try this with other bills and coins. I thought that was nice. Read lips. Say something simple without using any sound and see if your child can guess what you're saying. Pick up a pen and draw your child's name in script or in big block letters. See if they can recognize their name. Especially with children. Children are so bright that every teachable moment we could find, we need to take advantage of it. Tabletop concentration. I thought this was kind of nice. Take 6 things out of your handbag, put it on the table, have your child close his or her eyes, take one of the items off the table, and then when they open their eyes, ask them to guess which item is missing from the table. I thought that was kind of nice. And then make goofy faces. We love making goofy faces. I'm not going to make one right now. I'm tempted, but I think I'd rather not do that. And see if your toddler can imitate you. I don't even think that's... I think they're just going to go ahead and do it. Then they said certain things that you should carry around with you. And now they say modeling clay in a sandwich bag. I am not a Play-Doh fan, and I'm just going to leave that alone. But they say keep some Play-Doh in your bag. Crayons in a small bag. Crayons are always packed, and I put them in Ziploc bags. Crayons are always in the kids' bags wherever we go. Now this one I thought was funny, but I'm going to share it. A short piece of rope with a big knot to pick loose. If your children are like our children, they will get frustrated and angry because they can't get the knot out. So that one I'm a little hesitant about, but I'll put it out there because they mentioned that. And an unbreakable mirror. Our children are a little vain as it is, so I'm not sure about the mirror. But one thing, my son went through a magnifying glass phase. So I went to the dollar store and bought like one of those packs of magnifying glasses. They were like 4 or 5 for $1. They broke within a week, but after that week was over, his fascination with magnifying glasses went away. So those are some of the tips that Parent Magazine, Parents.com came up with for dealing with your children's meltdowns. So please feel free to comment, rate, subscribe, give us some of your tips, some things that you did to deal with your toddlers and their meltdowns. It can be a harrowing experience if your toddler or your child actually has a tantrum. And it's really worse when adults have tantrums, but that's a whole different block. Maybe we'll tackle that one day. Thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, comment, give me your feedback. Let me know what you want to talk about, because as I always say, we're going to talk about a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.